excited to have our next guest in the studio. A lot of people have been showing interest of the fact that she was going to be here. And can I come in?
Yes, it's a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's here to promote a film, among other things, but primatologist, anthropologist, UN Messenger of Peace. Please welcome Jane Goodall to our studio. Morning, Jane. Welcome to Philadelphia.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in this morning. I mentioned a few titles, primatologist, anthropologist. Actually, there were a whole lot of titles on your Wikipedia page.
A lot has to be left out.
I could have put a bunch of them on there, but I just went with those two. And you're also involved now. Your relationship with Disney, how long has that been going on?
It's been going on actually ever since Animal Kingdom opened, which was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But this particular, ambassador for Disney Nature, that was quite a recent. The last year, chimpanzee film came out.
It was great.
They wanted me to promote it, and it was very successful because our network of young people in Roots and Shoots is right across the country. And so they asked if I would be an ambassador for the Bear movie as well.
When you first started doing what you were doing, you worked with Louis Leakey, the famous anthropologist, and he sort of brought you under his wing. And was he going out on a limb when the suggestion first came to employ the methodology that you're known for, which is to kind of be by yourself out there? Was that a revolution to anthropology at that time and the study of the primates?
Well, it was a revolution to ethology, which is the study of behavior.
Okay.
And it wasn't Lewis's method because there wasn't a method.
There wasn't a
at
method.
that time. So it was mine.
Okay.
It was what I'd done all my childhood, just trying to sit near a bird on her nest and be very quiet. And what people objected to was that I gave the chimpanzees names as I got to know them and told me that I couldn't talk about personality, mind, or feeling because those were unique to us. But the bears have their personalities, minds, and emotions. Of course, they're mammals like us.
In this film, we've seen documentaries on bears before. What will we see with this that we haven't seen?
Well, I think it's the intimate nature, and it's following this mother with her 2 cubs for the whole year. And, she's a particularly marvelous mother, seeing her fight off a male who wants to prey on the babies and a wolf who has the same aim in mind. Seeing the difference in the personality of the two cubs. There's the little guy who's out there being adventurous, and then there's the little girl who's mummy's girl.
Right.
And they're just so different, and she protects them so very well.
We do see here locally black bears in populated areas, which indicates that they're running out of space as well because of human intrusion. With the film with bears, are there any with brown bears and some of the bears that are covered in this film? Are there numbers in danger, or are they doing okay? Do you know much about that?
I don't know the exact details. They're doing okay in Alaska, I think, but they've been reintroducing them into the U.S. Because they were nearly extinct, and now some people are saying there's enough that they can be delisted, so they can be hunted again.
No. That sounds like I know Yellowstone years ago. The wolves were being wiped out, and they reintroduced them back in, and I think they're becoming too populated once again.
They're not,
to whomever
actually.
It is.
That's
No?
what you hear, but it's not true. It's because they've delisted them.
What exactly does delist mean?
It means when it's an endangered species, it can't be hunted. When you take it off the endangered species list, it can be hunted again.
Delisted. Okay,
as soon as it goes outside a national park.
Okay.
Gotcha. I saw a very depressing and harrowing story about black rhinos recently, where their horns are being traded for medicinal purposes and sold, and it's one of the most valuable pound per pound items on the planet. It's incredibly expensive, and economic growth in Vietnam, for example, has led to a serious spike in the trade. And watching this whole story was wholly depressing. Because the species is disappearing. I want to ask you, what are you optimistic about? Do you think that problems like that can be course corrected, that humans can solve those problems, or are we destined to make the wrong decision as a species?
I doubt we'll be able to solve all of them, but I think we can solve some. And, the problem with the rhinos and the elephants is this, as you say, it's so costly. And poachers will risk being imprisoned because the reward is so great. And the penalty is so low, correspondingly low. International criminal gangs are involved now. They come flying in helicopters. You saw that in the Rhino film.
Right.
But, you know, our youth program is now in 136 countries around the world. We've got about 160,000 groups of all ages. That's an awful lot of young people. And all the ones who've been through the program, it's involving young people in themselves choosing 3 projects to make the world better. One to help people, one to help other animals, one to help the environment. And it's changing lives. And of course, there's a lot of young people campaigning in China, because if the buying stops, the killing stops. So that's for the ivory. Unfortunately, we don't have groups in Vietnam, but I've been talking to people there. So we have to stop the demand. We have to get more money to pay the rangers who risk their lives every day on the ground.
It's deadly, isn't it?
Yeah, and prosecute, really prosecute some of these criminals. And mostly people know who they are, but they're so powerful and so rich.
Hey, another person that was excited about you coming in is our midday host, Pierre Robert. Just Pierre, did you have any? I know you wanted to say hello to Jane, but did you want to jump in on the interview here?
It's such an honor to have you here. I had a chance to chat with you at the event you were talking about at Live Earth. And you spoke magnificently for those 3 minutes, by the way. Even though you were nervous, you did not look like it. But I'm just curious, Nick had mentioned your optimism, but when we look at the world, it occurs to me that you obviously are an optimist, but sometimes I get pessimistic when I look at our planet. Earth Day is coming up next week. And we as humans, it seems like, have done almost everything we can to mess this planet up, be it the environment or the species that live in various environments. Do you see a day where commerce, if you will, environmentalism can work side by side with capitalism, where often it seems like the business interests seem to win out? Do you see a day where it works hand in hand with a win-win kind of a situation? And what would that look like to you?
Well, not if we carry on with business as usual. You know, and it's the economic nature of big business that's really terrifying. And, you know, I'm sure we can do it. We have the resilience of nature. We have the human brain. We're coming up with technology that's enabling people to do things without harming nature so much. But do we have time? The kids, yes, they're getting it, but they have to grow up and get into those leadership positions. And that's why I'm traveling more and more, even as I get older and older, because, you know, the message out there is there is hope, but we have to change attitudes. We have to realize money, we need to live, but we mustn't live for money. And we have to somehow break the power of these huge corporations that in so many cases, you know, they kind of own governments.
I was reading a little bit last night, and I have to ask about this. What about Bigfoot? What about Sasquatch and Yeti and all that stuff? I thought I'd read that you are open to the possibility that a species like that might actually exist somewhere.
Why is everybody asking me about Bigfoot? Well, let me put
Don't
it
look
this
at me.
Well, I am not going to deny that such a species could exist. I have found people on just about every continent where there's wilderness areas who absolutely believe in it. People, Native Americans, who've seen this creature. There appear to be 2 sizes, a smaller gray one and then the large black one, which is more frightening. Mm-hmm. And it's everywhere. It's China, it's Australia. And the most amazing story, really, to me, I was in the wilds of Ecuador, miles from any road. We got there in a tiny plane. And the communication between these little settlements was by hunters who acted like the old minstrels, taking the news. So I asked one of them, I said, when you go to these faraway places, could you ask them if they've seen a monkey without a tail? That's what I said, a monkey without a tail. So, you know, it could be like this, right?
Right.
And 3 of the villagers said, oh, yes, there's a monkey without a tail. He walks upright and he's about 6 foot high.
Wow.
That was out at the middle of nowhere with no this
no
was a
influence.
wild hunt. No.
Yeah.
The hunter didn't know why I asked.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to him. Well, I couldn't. It was all translated.
Right.
Right. Well, that's
wild.
interesting.
Some studies had shown by the time a human hits 70, they start being a little less happy. Now, as you approach your 80th birthday, you seem you're radiating. You have this beauty to you, your eyes, your whole face, and you seem as vibrant and alive as any human I've ever seen at 20 or 30 or 40. How do you feel at 80?
Well, I think I feel more energy than I had when I was 30.
Really?
I don't think at 30 I could have kept up this grueling schedule around the world. Really.
You needed another 50 years, and then it worked out, right? And then you got there.
But you know that the time gets less. I know we die, so there's more urgency. And you know, okay, so I know all the bad stuff. Everybody tells me everywhere I go. Can I sign this petition? Can I lobby that person? Will I do this? Will I do that? Every day. But at the same time, I meet all the incredible people who are just, you know, tackling things that seem impossible, and they won't give up, and they succeed.
Yeah.
Like the last book I did, Hope for Animals and Their World. Every single chapter is about a species that would no longer be on the planet, but for a group of people who said, nope, we won't let it happen. It's very inspiring.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
But at 80, you're happy. You're vibrant. You feel great.
Well, I would rather really not be going through airports and hotels all the time. It's the only way I have to get from A to B.
Like
right.
a rock star.